Hello and welcome to the Telescope. Every week we provide you a fresh insight from the biggest car market of the world. Today's car is the Li Auto 1. It's a clever package of existing technology turned into a bestseller. I first drove this car on September the 16th, 2019. Back then I was still a retainer agency of NIO. I need to find out what this new competitor is all about, write a report for the client, and also I was trying desperately to persuade my mum away from the ridiculously overpriced four-cylinder Mercedes GLE 320. I was friends with the media and he squeezed me into one of the test drive sessions. Back then Li Auto was brand new with zero heritage. All it had was the personal influence of its founder Li Xiang. If you remember Fisker, then you would know a thing or two about range extender. Fisker tragically never fully explored the potential of this concept, and the Li Auto 1 is the range extender done right. It has a 1.2-litre, 3-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine that has 131 horsepower, but the engine is not connected to the wheel. It acts as a range extender, or in other words, an onboard DC fast charger. It has a 55-litre fuel tank, and fuel consumption is around 8.5 litres per 100 kilometre. The energy produced from the engine is transmitted to two electric motors that has a combined output of 333 horsepower. Any additional energy from the engine will be put into the 40.5 kilowatt-hour battery. The battery also supports fast charging, so in an urban environment you can use this as a pure electric car. It has a pure electric range of 120 kilometers. On the highway, thanks to the big fuel tank, you can go at least 700 to 800 kilometers without stopping. The interior of the Li Auto 1 is dominated by four massive screens. It has one infotainment screen, one instrument display, one screen for the key controls like the air conditioning, and a dedicated passenger screen just for media consumption. This infotainment system is one of the more intuitive ones to use, partly because the screens are so big that the buttons are all decently sized and well placed. In terms of interior fit and finish, I would say it's premium but not luxury. It feels somewhere in between a Volkswagen and an Audi. But when you compare it to some of its main rivals like the Toyota Highlander, this feels truly next generation. I know you must be thinking this passenger display is kind of a gimmick. No, it really isn't. It can make your other half on the road happy and quiet. What more could you ask? How about you join me and watch the latest Bond film 007 No Time to Die with the car stereo.
James Bond.
Now we're on the move. The main concern I had when I first drove this car in 2019 was the noise performance of the 3-cylinder engine, because to calm any 3-cylinder engine is no easy job, and this car most of the time being pure electric, I was expecting the 3-cylinder engine to be very intrusive, but it isn't. Li Auto did a really good job on isolating the noise and vibration of the 3-cylinder engine away from the cabin. Under normal driving, most of the time you barely even notice the engine. So, because the wheels are only connected to the electric motors, most of the time this car drives like a pure battery electric car. The engine is only engaged under hard acceleration and when the battery's state of charge reaches a critical level. Since then, I've switched my daily driver to a battery electric vehicle and I've gotten used to the quietness. Now stepping back inside the Li Auto 1, I can tell there is still daylight between this and a pure battery electric vehicle. I can notice the engine cut in much more often. So, depending on your background, if you've only driven petrol-powered cars up until this point, you would think this car's noise performance is unexpectedly good. Now, the performance. This car under launch mode, when both the engine and the battery are giving full bings, does 0 to 100 km acceleration in around 6.7 seconds. But most of the time, this car feels like an 8 to 9 seconds car, because most of the time the engine is not engaged. Still, that is plenty fast enough for a 5-meter SUV. Now, people have taken this car to some of the really remote areas of Sichuan and Tibet. The altitude there easily reaches over 4,000 meters above sea level. Now, this car, because of its electric drivetrain, maintains effortless and consistent performance regardless of the altitude. In terms of autonomous driving, the Li Auto initially had the Mobileye Q4 chip, but later on the 2021 model year, ditched that for the local chip maker Horizon Journey 3. It has the normal adaptive cruise control, lane centering, and powered by high-definition map, its own version of Tesla's Navigate on autopilot. In terms of performance, this is roughly on par with NIO's Navigate on Pilot. However, both of them are behind Xpeng on this because the Xpeng P7 has all-round camera vision. So the Li Auto One is a practical family SUV, but the interesting point is that it doesn't have any groundbreaking technologies. Its 1.2-litre three-cylinder engine is mediocre at best. Its 14.5 kWh battery is a modest capacity for a 5-metre SUV. Its electric energy consumption is roughly similar to the NIO ES8, but the ES8 has much stronger performance. Its fuel consumption of 8.5 litre per 100 km is definitely better than pure petrol-powered cars. However, it is higher than the Toyota hybrid solutions. So, doesn't sound all that impressive, right? Then why did Li Auto sold more than 200,000 of these? The answer is also simple. On the flip side of everything I just said, this car can be a pure electric car in urban environments, and people do use it like that. Li Auto quotes that more than 3/4 of all urban driving runs on pure electricity. And on the highways, you don't need to worry about charging infrastructure because it's already there, called the petrol stations. Li Auto, by combining the best of every solution, produced an almighty SUV that is consistently beating the Toyota Highlander and the Volkswagen Atlas month after month. Li Auto recently released the L9, which is a huge step up in just about every aspect to this car, and the company is targeting consistent profitability from the current quarter. If achieved, it would be the first Chinese EV startup to do so, and the Li Auto One played a monumental role in all of that. That is all from this episode of The Telescope. If you enjoyed this video, keep watching, keep subscribing, more videos coming along very soon.